I studied philosophy and psychology at university, and it may not equip you for anything in particular, but it does make you ask questions. So I spent a career of over 30 years in the police, at all ranks, ended up as Chief Constable, and I started asking questions about whether or not drug law enforcement was working. And the answer, for me at least, very clearly, and for I think a substantial number of colleagues, the answer very clearly is that it isn't working. In fact, drug prohibition is and has been a hugely costly, counterproductive and harmful failure. And all of my experience tells me that. It's a failure because the supply of drugs has gone up, the number of people using drugs has gone up. It's counterproductive because when you ban a substance that people want, whether it's alcohol, tobacco or any other form of drug, then the price goes up because the criminals are very happy to create an illicit market with hugely inflated prices, and that leads to all of the criminality associated with the illicit drugs market. Prohibition actually creates that illicit market, and it's extremely harmful because it's not just about the drugs. I mean, you can take all sorts of substances, all sorts of foodstuffs and drinks and drugs and whatever, and in excess they can be harmful. And I'm not trying to minimise the harm that, for example, heroin could cause you. But all drugs are more dangerous when the criminals are in charge of their production and supply. So we're seeing upwards of 1,000 or more people dying every year in this country because they don't have access to medicinal heroin. And I think that would be a huge step forward. What we do instead is we alienate them, we criminalise them, we push people onto the streets. And of course their lifestyle then means that they're much more vulnerable to all sorts of diseases, malnutrition. So whichever way you look, the harms caused by prohibiting drugs, the harms caused by drug law enforcement actually heavily outweigh the potential harm of actually consuming the drugs themselves. And that's what my experience during 30 years of policing and my 10 years subsequent experience of travelling pretty much all over the world and seeing the huge damage that is caused not by the drugs, although I don't minimise that, and I'm not advocating drug consumption, but it's caused by prohibition itself. That's why we have to change. We talk of a war on drugs. It's not a war on drugs, it's a war on people. And I've seen that in this country and all over the world. The rich people at the top end of the drug market either use violence or corruption to avoid conviction and being sent to prison. It's the vulnerable ones, often users themselves and problematic users themselves, who actually feel the force of the law. It's a war on people, and it's outrageous to ask a police service in this country or in any other country to engage in, instead of serving people, waging a war on them.